Hello and welcome. My name is Mitch. It's my mission to give the modern man the tools to succeed. In this video, I'm going to be talking about something very simple and yet very often overlooked and misunderstood, the importance of a morning routine. Okay. So I'm going to tell you my morning routine uh, and why I do what I do. So on ideally, I get up early. Okay. 5 to 6 a.m. is the ideal wake up time. You get up earlier, then you kind of have set responsibilities. So you have a set time to kind of be silent, be on your own, not be around anyone. And it's easier to prime your environment that way. If you get up later and other people around you are up, like if you have roommates or people around you in your life, sometimes getting up a little bit later, you can get derailed more easily. um, Waking up early is just a good habit to have. Of course, it's not necessary. People still succeed without getting up at 5 or 6 a.m. But ideally, this is what I like to do. It develops discipline. And if you're not already getting up at this time, it's good to kind of reset. It gives you a chance to reset, right? For example, if you're trying to implement completely new routines, getting up at 5 or 6 is already a new aspect to it. So you get that novelty feeling. Okay. So that's an ideal wake up time. Um, Cold shower, ideally, shock yourself. It has benefits, but the main reason here is just you're kind of waking yourself up. You're not tired anymore. You can get right into the next thing. You're not groggy. You're not going to be tempted to get back into bed. Cold shower kind of wakes you up. And then eat the frog. That is a very important aspect of a morning routine. But eating the frog, really, what that means is get the hardest thing, or the worst thing, or the thing that you don't want to do done first, right off the bat, right? And this also has to do with a principle called dopamine loading. If you wake up and the first thing you do is reach for your phone, your dopamine threshold is spiking, right? And then everything else after that, it feels, in contrast to that, it feels lower. So you're not going to feel as motivated to get things done. But in the morning, in contrast, so that's one. In contrast, if you're starting your morning slow, you have a cold shower, that's like lower. If you're working on something hard, that's lower. So it's dopamine loading. The end of your day has a spike, not the beginning, the end of the day. So in contrast, it feels like you can get more done, right? You're going to be motivated to get more done. So if you stack the harder, more difficult things in the morning, and then the more fun things, the things that you actually want to do in the evening, that's kind of a principle called dopamine loading, which I can talk about more in depth in another video. But yeah, the principle of morning routine, the idea behind a morning routine is you're setting all of these habits, these principles, these disciplines in motion early in the day so that you can boom, 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 gather momentum, stack momentum, get some things done before your responsibilities of the day even really begin. So eat the frog. Have a task, have a project, have something that you need to do that you don't want to do, and get it done first thing in the morning. This is also deep work, which is why ideally you don't want your phone near you, or even your computer sometimes near you. No tech, no access to the internet. Cal Newport talks about that principle of really just undistracted work, no stimuli, just you in your room. Okay. And let's see, Hal Elrod, he has this acronym for a good morning routine called SAVERS. And I take a lot of principles from this, even before reading his book. I think a lot of people just do this. It's a good series of habits to do in the morning. So silence, really what that means is like meditation or prayer or something where you're just sitting in silence, paying attention to your body, developing your focus, developing your attention. Affirmation, that's all, and visualization, that's all about the power of belief. How can you kind of reprogram your mind, especially right after sleep, because just of biology, neurochemistry, how it works, like the way that your brain waves, you're basically um, first thing in the morning when you wake up and last thing before sleep, your brain is switching frequencies of your thought patterns. So you're more likely to be able to kind of hypnotize yourself or reprogram your brain. The doorway to your subconscious is opening. Basically, what that means is if you're trying to program your belief system to say, like, I can build this business, I can build this relationship, I can build this dream body that I want to have. Like, you're going to be able to believe it more if you're in a more, I guess, suggestible state. right? Even in sales books, they talk about like if you can, this is kind of an unethical thing, but if you're going to sell something to someone in a late night infomercial or something, when people are tired, they're more likely to make kind of a uninformed decision because they are more likely to be suggestible. But you're doing this intentionally with affirmations and visualizations where you have things that you know you want to believe and you're reprogramming your brain intentionally, right? So this kind of you can implement some of these first thing in the morning. So again, ideally cold shower, either do this quick morning routine and then eat the frog, or slash deep work, then do deep work, then the savers. So anyway, silence, so meditation or prayer, affirmations, visualizations, then exercise, reading, and what he calls scribing, which is basically just journaling out your thoughts. So let's break that down. Exercise, definitely good thing to do in the morning. But here's kind of like, I've wrestled with this a long time. Like, do I do this first thing in the morning or do I wait, right? A lot of mornings is the first thing I do. I like wake up and I go straight to the gym. But if you're stacking pre-workout, which has caffeine in it, a actual like it changes your brain. It's a psychoactive element, right? You're kind of stacking dopamine and you're listening to loud music. It goes back to that dopamine thing, the dopamine loading. You don't want to spike your dopamine first thing in the morning. You want to load that later in the day. So if you're going on a silent run, or if you're like doing like a little core circuit in silence in your room, like, yeah, exercise first thing in the morning, get some blood flowing. But if you're gonna like go heavy, get some pre-workout, loud music, I save this for afternoon or after work because of that dopamine loading principle. So it really just depends on each person. So exercise, very important part of your routine, your rhythm. And then let's see, reading. So reading is definitely a lower dopamine activity. So good to do this. But some people enjoy this, right? So they want to save it for the evening when it's kind of relaxing, when it's kind of restful. But either way, I guess there's fictional reading and then there's non-fictional reading. And a lot of times, in non-fictional reading, you want to focus, you want to pay attention, you want to have memory retention, you want to know what you're reading, you want to annotate it, you want to think through it. So again, you're gonna have to, when it comes to making your morning routine, see what works for you, see what works for your goals, see what works for um, each individual person, right? I'm just telling you my own experience with this. So reading, definitely reading is a part of your daily rhythm. Reading every day is a powerful discipline. And then journaling. Basically, the function of journaling in my eyes is raising a awareness. And if you look at like a model for change, ADKAR model, the way that you change is awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Awareness, it starts with awareness. So when you journal before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, you're raising your awareness of, okay, well, what are my desires? What are my goals? What am I trying to do? Right. And when you write it out and you think it through, you're able to make more informed decisions. So that's kind of the function of journaling, processing emotions, processing desires, understanding what it is that you actually want to accomplish. Okay. So there's a quick look at an ideal morning routine. You have cold shower, you have deep work, you have your silence paired with affirmations, visualizations, and then you have exercise, reading, you have journaling, right? So there you go. The importance of a morning routine really is you are gaining momentum, right? So if there's a guy right here and he pushes this rock off a hill, the first push is going to be a lot of work, but once he gathers momentum, boom, it's rolling down the hill. It's going to be a lot easier. I mean, one thing leads to the next. So the morning routine, the function behind it is you're stacking disciplines, right? In Atomic Habits, James Clear writes about, and even before that, like just habit theory in general. There's the cue, there's the routine, and then there's the reward, right? The reward, that's part of this like dopamine loading principle, but the cue is when you wake up. Like when you wake up every morning, if you make this a intentional decision, eventually it's going to become automatic that the first thing you do when you wake up is your cold shower, your silence, affirmation, visualizations, your deep work, your exercise, your reading, right? That becomes automatic. They're stacking wins, stacking momentum. each thing leads into the next. Like you get done with your cold shower, you know what's next? It's the silence, affirmations, video. Once you get done with that 15 minutes of kind of like basically meditation, what's next? Deep work. Once you get done with a few hours of deep work, what's next? Go to the gym. Once you get done with that, read. Like, I mean, you're developing a rhythm so that there's no question of like you're sitting like, man, I don't know what to do next. I don't, should I do this? Should I do that? You're creating pre-made decisions based off of what you believe is going to be good for you. And that's where discipline comes in. Like the first, again, that first push of discipline, you might feel like doing something else. You might feel like taking a nap or sleeping in or skipping the gym, whatever. But that discipline makes this decision over time, these decisions become automatic. You're gaining momentum. Okay. So I hope this is somewhat helpful, encouraging, inspiring in some way, shape, or form. Each morning routine is going to be different for each person, but it's very important to develop a routine and develop a rhythm so that these disciplines, these intentional decisions, these habits become more automatic. So I hope this is helpful. This is Mitch, and I'll see you in the next video.